Hi and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode we're going to be looking at the 10 reasons to collect physical media in 2023. So in this modern world where literally any piece of music you can think of can be downloaded and streamed with the swipe of your finger on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, whatever, anywhere you are in the world, so long as you've got access to an internet connection, I'm going to be giving you 10 reasons why you should clog up your space in your house, your flat, wherever you live, with big old pieces of physical music. Bear with me, we'll get right on to number 10 now. First of all, it's the thrill of the hunt. Yes, okay, anything you can conjure up in your mind, you can probably find on a streaming service and play it within nanoseconds. But that takes away a lot of the discovery, really, because you're reliant on whatever you can remember that you wanted to hear or what the algorithm is going to present to you. When you're out in a music shop looking through physical, whether it's records or CDs or cassettes, if you can find them, whatever it happens to be that's your jam, you're thumbing through and every time you look at something, you're getting an idea of something cool. Maybe there's a piece of artwork that just jumps out at you, or something in the cover notes just makes you really want to delve into that piece of music and listen to it. And you can really only get that from the physical experience of holding things in your hand and getting a bit of a connection to it. Number 9, streaming services can't take your music away. Yes, that's right. Who remembers a couple of years ago when Spotify and Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Crosby, Stills and Nash, a bunch of other artists got into an argument, and for a while they pulled their entire catalogue off of Spotify. So that was the streaming service that you subscribed to, and you wanted to play any of their music, there was a period of time when you couldn't. But if you had the CD or the tape or the cassette or the SACD or whatever format it is that you have in your collection, you can just pull that off the shelf. And the chances of Joni Mitchell kicking down your door, grabbing your CD out of your hands and stomping off in a huff with it are, nothing's ever absolutely zero, right? But it's low. Let's be honest. She's probably not going to do that. Number 8, and this is a controversial one, but it sounds better than streaming. Most streaming platforms are going to be fairly heavily compressed, just to be able to get the bandwidth necessary to stream it without glitches over tinterwebs. Now, I know there are some high-res streaming sites out there now, and they will give you a higher bit rate, but on the whole, that will tend to fluctuate and vary to a degree, unless you've got some sort of buffer in the way. And certain people still say that even with 24-bit lossless streaming, they still prefer the sound of a CD. Now, I am not an audio technician, and I can't tell you why that is, but certainly to my ear, a CD or a record certainly sound, in my opinion, better than any streaming that I have heard for the same, good mastering, good mixing, good recording, all other things being equal. Number 7, you can understand your music collection a lot better when you can see it. So I can look on the shelf back there and I've got a sort of rough idea where different artists are. Some of it I've split off into different categories. So this part here, for example, this sort of bottom shelf is hip-hop albums. So you can have a look. If you've got things set up, perhaps you've got an R&B section, perhaps you've got a punk and ska section, a reggae section, a classic rock section, a Britpop section, whatever it is, you can start to see little sort of areas of your music where you think, yeah, do you know what, I've really got quite a nice collection there, or I'm really in the mood to listen to that particular genre. Or maybe you've got a blues section and you really love all the blues CDs that you've got, or vinyls, whatever it is, but you don't have that many, and so you go, do you know what, I'm going to actually spend a little bit of time in the sort of next few months going out and finding other blues records that I can add to my collection so that I can expand that out. It's a lot easier to see things when they're all together and you've got a sort of visual map of what your collection looks like, as opposed to just having a list that scrolls endlessly through your playlist. And even when it's in playlists or genres, it's much easier to just physically look and instantly get a handle on what it is you've got in your collection. And when you're in the mood to listen to something, you know exactly where it is on the shelf to go and grab it. Number 6, pride of ownership. You get a sense of satisfaction for building up a collection yourself when you're bringing in each individual piece, curating it into the collection, cataloguing it, storing it, thumbing through it, playing it. the whole experience of owning something that belongs to you and you only feels special. And I grew up in an era where a music collection was something that you cherished and was special, and you took pride in owning it, pride in growing it, pride in showing it off to people, and it was a wonderful thing to have. And having it all digital and ephemeral and not belonging to you and just sort of something you can rent from somebody else, and it's kind of generic and everybody's got access to the same stuff, it doesn't feel special. So pride of ownership for me is a very important reason to collect physical music. Number 5. A physical artifact, a physical memento, like a CD or a vinyl record or a cassette, reminds you of certain times in your life. You know, I remember the concert I went to when I bought this Roughneck Riot CD, and what a great time it was, and the friends I was with, and the whole night around it. This is a physical embodiment of it, and every time I put this piece of music on and look at it and hold it, I remember buying it from the band when I was there. This X-Ray Specs CD, I remember listening to this one as teenagers. We would listen to this band quite a lot. There was a period of time when this got very heavy rotation, and I remember the friends that were around at the time. I remember where we were sat in different people's houses and playing this, and, you know, chatting and laughing and having fun, and having that physical connection to the music and to that period of history is a lovely reminder. And it's more so when it's physical as opposed to just being a download or a stream. Number 4, the artwork and the booklets. Whether you've got, you know, a vinyl record or a cassette, I think I've got one of these somewhere in here, but anyway, it's out of reach, but you know what a cassette looks like, or a CD, you will have some form of artwork that is on the front, on the back. There's usually some sort of booklet on the inside with, you know, perhaps lyrics or photos of the band or something fun in it. That's all stuff that you can hold and touch, and it isn't locked behind the same flat, boring rectangle of glass that almost everything else in your modern life is. Having it on paper and card and touchable and real is wonderful, and it's something that you can sit and enjoy while you're playing the music. There are so many new ways to discover new music when you're collecting it physically. All the different record shops you go to, you know, charity shops, you can find things online, you know, Discogs, eBay, so many different places where you can discover music. All sorts of people will be selling music, talking about music, sharing music in the physical space, whereas in the sort of download space and the streaming space, you don't really get that same sense of community. Everybody's off in their own isolated world, and they're just being fed by an algorithm as opposed to talking about music and recommending it to each other. One of the best things really about physical music is that there's a sort of collectibility to it, and there's a community around it, which is tremendous, because you're always going to get feedback and ideas and recommendations of things to listen to. Bit of inspiration goes a long way. Part of the reason, by the way, a big reason why I make this channel. When you're buying new CDs, you give the band gets so much higher percentage of that than they would from streaming. You know, on average, I don't know what the cost is. It's sort of contractually based to a degree, but it'll be sort of potentially fractions of a penny per stream. So if you listen to an album all the way through, they may be getting, you know, half a penny or a couple of pennies, that sort of thing. It's not a lot of money. But if you go out and buy the album and it costs you 10 quid, 10 bucks, whatever it is, in your local currency, the chances are they're going to get maybe £2 or £3 out of that, £4, whatever the deal is. It's still not a huge amount, but it's a hell of a lot more than it would be from the streaming services. So if you want to support your favourite artists and keep them going and provide them with a living, then that is a really, really good way to do it. Because these days, unfortunately, more so than ever, really, there's a very narrow amount of artists right at the top of the tree who are making sort of decent money. Everybody else isn't really, you know, they're not making the money. They're not making driving Rolls-Royce into swimming pool money nowadays in a way that they were in the past. And if there's an artist you like who maybe isn't, you know, sort of in the sort of pop genre that always gets the number one spots and the radio plays and things like that, and you want to be able to support them and keep them going, buy their CD, buy their vinyl album, buy their cassette, because bands are still releasing things on cassette now, whatever it is, but buy something off them physically where they're going to get a higher percentage. So one of the greatest reasons for buying physical media is that there is a ton of it out there. Over the years, billions of vinyl records were produced, billions of CDs were produced, billions of cassettes were produced. And so whatever the genre of music you're into, whatever the time frame, whatever the artists, whatever flavour of music that you are into, you are going to be able to find it on physical media. There's tons of it out there. It varies greatly in price, but there's usually something for every budget, and there was just so much of it produced in the world that it is still around and you can get hold of it. And a lot of it is actually, particularly with CDs, which is why that's my favourite format and that makes up the majority of my collection, is tremendously cheap. So you can actually build up a really proper, lovely, tailored to you music collection where everything in it is lovely, and you've got hundreds or thousands of them, and it doesn't cost you a fortune. So get out there, collect physical music, play it, listen to it, have it on your shelves, use it as a conversation starter when friends come round. Talk about it, because when people know that you collect physical music, they will reminisce and their eyes will light up about the music collection they had growing up, and you'll be able to share things, and they'll probably tell you about a band or an album that they absolutely loved, and maybe that'll inspire you to give them a try yourself. So if you like this sort of content and you want to hear more about music generally, physical music particularly, but also I write 5 reviews and generally things connected to the love of music that we all have, please consider giving us a subscribe, and thanks very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.